Welcome to a new series with our Asian Democrat Central Texas endorsed candidates we're calling At the Table, where we share one of the things I think all Asians are most proud of, and that's our food. So here's the deal. I just dropped off some of my favorite Sichuan dishes on State Representative James Talarico's porch, and now we have him here with us to try them and talk a little bit about his campaign and his work as the State Representative of House District 52, which is in Williamson County. So welcome, Representative Talarico.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me. I've never been on like a cooking show or a food show, so very excited for us to have this together. This
I watched a lot of Food Network growing up, so you're really helping me live out my dream today. So I appreciate that.
That's the goal. I have to confess, like, compared to most people, I'm not like a foodie. I tend to just eat whatever's right in front of me. So I'm not super knowledgeable about all kinds of dishes, but I'm hoping that you're gonna walk me through what I've got in front of me.
Yeah, so we ordered. I didn't cook these myself. I have to admit, I thought about making my mom cook for you, but this seemed like I wanted to make sure that we gave a shout out to a local restaurant in the district.
Yeah.
Because as I'm sure you know, a lot of AEPI-owned, especially restaurants, Asian-owned restaurants, have been really hit hard, not just this past year because of the pandemic but also just by nature of a lot of the racism our community has experienced too.
Yeah, that's right.
So we thought this would be a great opportunity to give a shout out. This is from Sichuan Garden in your district.
Yeah.
And why don't you show us actually what we have here, and I can watch.
So I guess I can just kind of like, can you see that?
Yeah.
Sorry, so here, and I also have these. Can you see these too?
Yes.
Okay. And then I've got some lettuce here too.
Yes, so I got you a lot. You don't have to eat all of this.
A lot of food.
So that pancake looking thing over there, that is a green onion pancake. That was like one of my very favorite things growing up to eat that my mom always made. And then the noodles, those are Sichuan cold noodles. So if they came cold, don't be alarmed. That's how they're served. Those are spicy. I don't know how much of a spicy fan you are, though.
Yeah, I like spicy food.
And then that pile of food there, that's the chicken. That actually goes in the lettuce. And they're little chicken lettuce wraps there.
Okay, got it.
And then the last bit, we got you some dessert. Those are red bean sesame balls. And so those will be a little sweet treat that you can have later.
So is this, you said this was, what was this? Pancake?
It's a green onion pancake.
Green onion pancake. So is this sweet, or is this kind of like something you would eat on the side with?
That's something you eat on the side. Yeah, these are all like basic Sichuan appetizers that you get.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you're staying fueled on the campaign trail.
Yeah. No, I love this. I'm going to try the noodles real quick. You said these are spicy?
Yeah, those are spicy.
I kind of stirred it up a little bit because there was like a bunch of stuff on top of it, and so I tried to get it all in there.
Yeah, one of the keys of Sichuan cuisine is that it's mala, or it means like ma means like numb, and so you'll get that. It's not like the spicy that we're used to in Texas, but it's like it's Sichuan peppers. It has like numbing sensation. Yeah.
Oh, it's super good.
Well, it's this is in your district, Sichuan Garden. You can now order takeout whenever you want.
I know, I need more takeout places now that I am not going to restaurants in person. So this is wonderful.
Exactly. Well,
you said your mom would make some of these dishes?
Yeah. Well, my mom is from Taiwan, but she loves cooking. Food is definitely our love language in my household, and I actually grew up working in my family's restaurants, which is another reason why my heart really goes out to what local restaurants and businesses are dealing with right now. But there's still nothing like a home-cooked, mama-made meal. She loves cooking all different types of Asian food, but one of my favorite types of cuisines is Sichuan.
I'm gonna try this real quick. You're just gonna watch me eat.
I know. Well, I mean, it's my Food Network moment. Well, we thought this would be a really fun way just to have you get to know a little bit about our culture and what food means to us. And I think about food as being so important just to bring folks together, and I wanted to hear from you too. Like, what are some of your favorite childhood dishes?
I was going to say, putting delicious food in front of me is not the best way to get me to talk to you, because now I just want to eat all this. But all of my family is from South Texas, and I was born in Round Rock, and I live in in Round Rock, which is the city I get to represent in the legislature. But mom grew up in Laredo, and so she obviously is very influenced by Mexican food, Tex-Mex. So, when I was growing up, some of my favorite food that she would make for us, migas, obviously, tortilla soup, some of these kind of classic Tex-Mex dishes are the staples in our family. So, but yeah, they always kind of bring back so many good memories with the whole family around the table. So yeah, no, I'm so excited y'all are doing this. It's such a great way to connect and learn about other cultures.
Absolutely.
Speaking of other cultures, I know that you spent a lot of time getting to know the local Asian American Pacific Islander community in your district, from Diwali celebrations to iftar dinner at Ramadan. Maybe because you're a former school teacher, but I've always been struck by how well you listen to and also learn from others when I hear from you as a leader. So I'm wondering, what have you learned from the local Asian American community?
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I represent Southeast Williamson County. So everybody in your organization knows that's kind of the northern suburbs of Austin. And as Austin has become more unaffordable for working class families, like it's pushed a lot of people into my neck of the woods, because you can get housing that's more affordable and good public schools, and so our area has a fast growing population, and it's increasingly becoming a more diverse community too, which is great. And so that's I see my role as one of the state legislators here in Williamson County is helping to celebrate that diversity, because as an area changes and as it grows and becomes different, there are kind of two different ways you can handle that change, right? It can lead to conflict and division, or we can embrace it and celebrate it and see it as a way to become stronger together. And so I've tried to use my role as a local leader to visit some of these cultural celebrations, religious celebrations, so that we are acknowledging this growing diversity. And also celebrating our Asian American Pacific Islander community, which is, as you know, fast growing here in Williamson County, and it's such a rich part of our community here. And so yeah, I'm always so thrilled when I get invited to the Diwali festival. I think I've gone 2 years in a row now, and also have gotten a chance to speak at some of our local mosques. And as you know, it's such a diverse community, and it's been a privilege to be welcomed in and invited to be a part of it. And you mentioned me being a school teacher. That's a big part. Obviously, when you're leading a classroom in a public school, you get everyone who lives within the radius of the school, and it's kids from all backgrounds and all beliefs and all cultures. And you have to lead that classroom as a unit, and ensure that you are both celebrating diversity, but then also unifying the classroom so that you're all driving toward that one goal together. So that certainly translates over to my leadership now. And you probably also know, Ashley, my faith tradition is super important to me. I talk a lot about my faith on the campaign trail, which is sometimes unusual for Democrats. Sometimes we don't always talk about that. But to me, I find such wisdom and comfort and inspiration from faith traditions all over the world. And I find that they're all kind of equal pathways to truth. And so I always feel that my own faith is enriched when I'm able to partake in other faith tradition celebrations, and learn what that wisdom has to offer all of us. So yeah, no, it's been such a great part about being a state legislator.
Yeah,
and getting food delivered to my house. That's even better.
Exactly.
So.
It's like the best part about different cultures also.
That's right.
Food.
Food pops onto my doorstep. So.
Exactly. And you had mentioned your faith, and I remember actually seeing a sermon that you gave at, I think it was your childhood church that you grew up in. And I'll have to link it when we post this video so other folks can watch it. It's incredible. And I do recommend that y'all give it a look and a listen if you want to find out more about the representative.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I think, I always think of all of the world faith traditions as like a circle with, that divine mystery of the universe in the middle. And we all have different names for that mystery, right? Whether it's God or Yahweh or Allah or Nirvana, the Great Spirit, whatever you call it. This is all, different pathways to the same kind of fundamental truth of reality. So yeah, it's something it's how I try to stay grounded and stay rooted, especially during crazy times like this. I don't know about you, Ashley, but I feel like especially now, I found myself going back to some of these wisdom traditions to try to make sense of what's going on. And it can be comforting to reach back to things that are much older, than what you see in your Facebook timeline. So, yeah.
What was the last time? What happened last time there was a plague? What did they do?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Go back to some of those stories.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely resonate too. I think that also speaks to, how rich and diverse the Asian American community is as well, because we absolutely aren't a monolith and we have so much in common, but such a variety of experiences and issues we care about. And it would be impossible to talk today about every single issue out there that matters to the people of Williamson County. So I would love to hear more about what key values drive you as a leader. What motivates you?
Yeah, I try to adopt a servant leadership model in my work as a legislator. It was the same model I used as a public school teacher. Having this position is not about getting power or influence or prestige. It's not about advancing yourself or enriching yourself. It's about serving your community, and whether that's your classroom of 30 kids, or whether it's a legislative district of 200,000 people, it's the same spirit of service and servant leadership. My history and education leads me to focus on education policy. I was blessed to be part of the school of finance group that helped write House Bill 3 in the last legislative session, got us almost $12 billion in new education funding, expanded pre-K, gave every teacher a pay raise in our community. So that was a huge accomplishment. But Ashley, as you know, we're going to be going to a legislative session where we're facing a budget shortfall. And sadly, the Texas legislature has a history of balancing our budgets on the backs of the most vulnerable, whether it's children or the elderly or the disabled or the sick or the poor. And so I think it's more important now than ever before to elect servant leaders up and down the ballot who are going to ensure that we don't make the most vulnerable pay for a pandemic.
And I love what you say about servant leadership. And I can say, as someone who has followed your career over the last few years, that it's really refreshing to see such a young leader who really does live that as a value. I mean, you literally walked your entire district so that you could be out there with the people and to talk to folks about what matters to them and host town halls.
Yeah, that was by far my favorite day of the first campaign, and then we did it again. So I've done it twice now. We did it during the legislative session, and there's nothing like it because you're totally unfiltered, right? There are no consultants between you and the voters. There's no TV ads in between you and the voters, no questions are being selected. You're getting to hear directly from the people that you represent, and in my mind, that's exactly what democracy is supposed to look like in a very old-fashioned sense. So yeah, I walked 25 miles. People literally drove up next to me on the highway to ask me a question. People come out of their houses. We live stream the whole thing on Facebook, so people ask questions virtually. And yeah, one of the biggest disappointments for me personally during the shutdown is that I wasn't able to do that walk again, because it's always such a probably the most invigorating time of the year for me. So I hope we can get this virus under control. And I hope next year we're in a position where I can do that walk again across the district.
I hope so too. I think it's incredible that you were the youngest representative in the Texas House during the last session. And I say that with such shock also because you wouldn't necessarily think that the youngest voice would also be one of the voices of groundedness and stability and reason. But I think that's exactly what you showed in the last session. And I think a lot of your colleagues and constituents would agree too. And I know we'll need more of that kind of leadership so much in the next session. So for those of you watching at home, please get out the vote for Representative James Talarico throughout Williamson County. Text all of your friends right now, share this video, join a phone bank and volunteer with his amazing campaign so that we can keep voices of reason in the Texas House. So
I appreciate that. But before we wrap up, though, I wanted to try the dessert.
yes.
Because I feel like that's the most important part of a meal, right? If we can just jump straight to the dessert. So can I just like eat half of this? Or do I
Yeah,
eat
you could just take a bite right in. There's sweet red beans. So it's interesting. You mentioned Tex-Mex. I feel like most other cultures think about beans and use them in like savory dishes, but in a lot of Asian cuisine, especially Chinese cuisine, there's a lot of like sweet green beans and red beans.
So what is this in the middle, the dark?
That's the red bean. It's like a red bean paste, and the outside is
I like this.
rice and sesame. Yeah.
This is great because sometimes I think I'm not a huge fan of like things that are super sweet. So this is like the perfect level of sweetness for a dessert for me.
I totally agree. And you need well-balanced desserts and well-balanced leaders in the Texas House.
So now every time that we're going to do a Zoom together, Ashley, I expect some kind of food to be delivered.
Yes.
The expectation you've set is that there's going to be delicious food.
I'm happy to do it. There's a lot more businesses who need support out there in your district and across the state. So you know what? I'll do it.
That's exactly right. Well, I'm so thankful that you included me, and so thankful this community has opened their arms to include me as well.